a leading banker weighing in on profits made from the online gaming sector. Find out what he has to say coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
A convicted murderer learning his fate today. We'll tell you what the judge sentenced him to straight ahead.
Calls answered, the BTC trade dispute is resolved.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration says the country must break the back of illegal immigration in this country. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders.
And I'm Charisma Robinson. Today was a busy one for authorities as a number of illegal immigrants were captured in the capital and Abaco. This comes as government takes a no-tolerance approach to those breaking the immigration laws and as hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent to send those illegal immigrants home. Cleopatra Murphy tells us that the immigration minister minced no words as he addressed the situation.
This is a relentless onslaught and invasion of our country.
That statement from Immigration and Foreign Affairs Minister the Honorable Fred Mitchell after 78 Haitian nationals were apprehended Thursday morning. The 67 males, 10 females, and a 5-year-old boy were found in the area of Port New Providence, and Mitchell says he received word Wednesday that 60 illegal immigrants landed in Abaco and flocked to a nearby shanty town. He is warning Bahamians to be vigilant.
This is a very sophisticated criminal enterprise that is dealing with this. So you can't put it past them that they would say, if we overwhelm them with numbers, that's a propitious time for us to act. Because we know that if we overwhelm them with numbers, they may have a capacity problem. But I want to warn them, don't try us.
Now, that Haitian child apprehended this morning will be repatriated and reunited with his father by Saturday, and Mitchell says the boat beached at South Beach will be destroyed. Presently, 404 immigrants are housed at the Carmichael Road Detention Center, and costly repatriation exercises caused the Department of Immigration to expend its $1.2 million budget. But Mitchell says the monies will be found for additional repatriations. He warned that allies who believe they have taken up a philanthropic cause are stalking horses for a criminal enterprise.
We mean to put the resources which this state can employ to stop this and to break this. That's the intention. And if it's war that they wish, then war they will get.
Mitchell says efforts will soon focus on Abaco that has an illegal population in the thousands. Officials have identified areas they will move in on and the needed resources.
The issue with Abaco is that geographically it's difficult terrain to navigate because between swamps and pine barren forests and bad roads and remoteness from populated centers. All of those are issues we have to take into account.
Mitchell says employers in Abaco who have foreign workers will have to produce proper documents for them. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
The Immigration Amendment Bill wrapped up in Parliament last evening, with the Immigration Minister highlighting the deficiencies the bill seeks to fix. Clause 13 of the bill, which entitles a child born in the Bahamas to non-Bahamian parents the right to apply for a Belonger permit, was one of them. This after the opposition suggested that the proposed provision, contradicts the Constitution.
Well, we'll certainly have the lawyers check it, but I don't see that that on the face of it, that it offends the Constitution at all, unless I've missed something. What the section was meant to deal with, or the mischief that is intended to be cured with this, is a situation where the Constitution gave someone the right to apply for citizenship of the Bahamas between the 18th and 19th birthday, but it conferred no immigration status on that individual. And this bill is simply, this provision is simply designed to provide an immigration status, or to have the ability to provide an immigration status for someone who finds themselves in that position.
Opposition and St. Anne's MP Hubert Chipman had queries of his own. His concern was based on provisions that the proposed gender equality amendment seeks to cover.
Section 30C states that a person born outside of the Bahamas to a father is a citizen of the Bahamas by virtue of Article 2, Article 3, 2, or Article 8 of the Constitution, and is married to a non-Bahamian, has a right to apply for a resident belonger permit. Mr. Speaker, why is that? Have we abandoned the gender equality bill?
For months now, web shop bosses have been operated in a regulated environment. Still, one of the leading banks in the country is refusing to accept funds from those businesses. C.S. Bradley explains why the bank has chosen to take a strong stance on the issue.
Commonwealth Bank is one of those financial institutions refusing to take funds from online gaming operations. The bank's president, Ian Jennings, explained in an exclusive ZNS News interview that online gaming is seen as a source of money laundering and organized crime by our neighbors to the north, the United States, and as a result, in his view, the Bahamas cannot afford for its American corresponding banks to withdraw their services.
You know, they have credit granting sister companies, so they would be another competitive force in the marketplace. To some degree they already are. I think the wider question that is more difficult and a concern is what impact it's going to have in the international marketplace. I think you're familiar with the Canadian bank's stated policy on not banking online gaming. For the Bahamian banks, their issue is the position of our U.S. correspondent banks.
Jennings pointed out how the Bahamas is still financially challenged, being a very small market and with some banks reassigning operations to the region. Therefore, the Commonwealth Bank chief is asking the government to state a clear position on the matter or run the risk of the Bahamas being blacklisted again.
So it does still leave the big question out there as to, now that these entities are being regulated, how are they going to bank? And then the question would be, what would the reaction be of the U.S. correspondent banks? Because the one thing that the country cannot afford to have is to have U.S. correspondent banks cut off the Bahamas from granting services.
Commonwealth Bank, along with members of the Clearing Banks Association, will continue to monitor the process. C.S. Scatterly, ZNS Network News.
ZNS News expects to hear from governments on the issue of online gaming and the intake of funds from these companies.
In labor matters, a major trade dispute involving the country's only telecommunication company is closer to being resolved. BTC for months now has been embroiled in a bitter dispute with the Bahamas Communication and Public Officers Union and the Bahamas Communication and Public Managers Union. Central to the issues of contention are outsourcing and voluntary separation packages. Today, the Director of Labor, Robert Farquharson, confirmed to ZNS News that industrial harmony has been restored at BTC.
As a result of the intervention by the Ministry of Labor and National Insurance, the executive officers of the Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union and the Bahamas Communications and Public Managers Union have subsequently sent a communication to BTC advising that industrial relations are back to normal in the company. Subsequently, the management of BTC would have withdrawn the application for an injunction from the Supreme Court, and both sides are now at the negotiating table trying to discuss and resolve all outstanding matters. I am pleased to announce that discussions are ongoing. They are discussing the visa package, they are discussing any options for outsourcing, and discussing what role the union and the employees will play in any matters resulting as a result of outsourcing.
The Director of Labor says the collective bargaining agreement is also being addressed simultaneously. Farquharson says tripartitism is alive and well.
I think what is so important for the economy of the Bahamas, particularly the industries that affect our tourism and our financial services sector, have a degree of calm. The whole concept of tripartitism is designed whereby the employer, the government, and the worker representatives sit around the table, discuss all issues, and have those issues resolved in a peaceful manner.
Billion-dollar party Bahama looks to open. Coming up, find out the plans.
transitional journey, the College of the Bahamas set to take off to university status. Find out more coming up. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report.
On Top the News is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.